This is Cybert signing into Red Alert Remastered on the map Arena Valley Extreme. In the top left-hand corner playing as the yellow allies, this is MrYuRi. And in the south playing as the cyan allies, this is Diego. Yellow versus cyan. There are some people who say, hey, why are the colors always yellow and cyan? And those are just like the quick match colors. So that is why a bunch of the games end up being that particular color scheme. I don't know who made that decision, you know, way back in, where is this ore truck going? I mean, there are gems right here. There are gems here. That ore truck really was going for the distance on the ore gems, on the gems there. MrYuRi and Diego both playing allies. Arena Valley Extreme, pretty big map, and somewhat surprisingly, I feel like players normally move their MCV a bit on this map. If you're in this kind of northern position, I feel like maybe they move it there or at least a little bit closer. But in this case, no, they just left their MCVs where they are. Not much of a defensive advantage, I guess, to moving your MCV. I guess you could move it near this cluster of trees. That might give you a little bit of defensive advantage, but you'd probably lose a lot of mining time there. But I feel like they normally move it a little bit closer. At any rate, Diego spreading out pretty far. MrYuRi keeping a nice half ring here around his base, going out to the ore field, and that is pretty much it. Second war factory is up, and it's going to be right into a service depot for Diego. So service depot well before a second war factory, I think even before a second refinery, and he's going to be lacking a little bit in that sense, but his MCV will be safe. If it gets taken out, he can rebuild it. And I mean, also he could repair tanks. Not that anyone has ever really bothered to do that in a typical match of Red Alert Remastered. There's not a whole lot of repairing that goes on in this game in a typical version. Okay, second war factory's out. Second MCV as well. So those buildings are going to be coming a little bit faster for Diego than they are MrYuRi. I'm appreciative of the difference in the build from these two guys. Harvester is going to be safe. For now, all of the riflemen just sort of washing upon the rocks. That is MrYuRi. No real damage done. And this is very fortunate for Diego that MrYuRi has not moved across the map. A lot of light tanks here for MrYuRi. Diego might buy a couple of extra seconds with these last couple of riflemen, but I feel like, yeah, MrYuRi is going to be moving out relatively soon. Here he goes. A couple of riflemen do manage to sneak by, so MrYuRi is going to keep a couple of tanks back at home, and Diego is going to have pretty good vision of this. He sees the entire column of tanks all the way in, and on the same side, MrYuRi should know that it's medium tanks that he is going to be going against, so his whole plan here is build twice as many light tanks as my opponent has medium tanks, and they literally just can't shoot fast enough. The medium tanks don't have a fast enough rate of fire to deal with the sheer number of light tanks that are about to be coming at him. And also light tanks, I feel like, just dodge shots. If you just keep them moving, they dodge so many shots, but that might be more of a light tank versus heavy tank sort of thing. Tank's going to be moving down to the kind of southern position. Medium tanks versus light tanks looking to meet in the field of battle. It's going to be double or triple refinery, double or triple war factory for both players at this point. Nice spread of buildings by MrYuRi. He has clawed his way all the way down. He's trying to split up his tanks into 2 or 3 groups. He has a second group of light tanks going to be moving out to the east side of the map. Medium's going to be getting a couple of free shots here. The light tanks aren't too worried about it. They're going to be able to swarm and overwhelm just like that. Pounce on a tank, surround it, and shoot it down in just a couple of seconds. And here is the real winner for MrYuRi. He's going to be able to push down that right side of the map. He is crossing over in the middle of the map as well, so he's looking to strike at all sides at once, pretty much going right for the MCV, and that MCV is as good as done. Now, there are 3 other MCVs within the same screen, so you can kill one MCV without too much consequence. Power plant's going to be getting targeted, and it's going to be the refineries after that. MrYuRi is on an all-out assault, and I'm not sure how Diego is going to be able to deal with this. He's got a decent number of medium tanks out He can fight on multiple fronts, and we see that as he's trying to mount a defense. He's taken some infrastructure damage, but honestly, when you have 4,000 MCVs, I'm not sure how much of damage this really is. Power plants are getting replaced almost as quickly as they are getting dropped, and as long as the medium tanks win the fight in the end, then Diego will be able to cross the map and counterattack. This is getting a bit problematic. The more refineries that go down, the more power plants that are wasted instead of building tanks. MCV getting targeted down, only 2 MCVs left, which seems weird to say. Normally, a player doesn't ever get more than 1, and oftentimes we see them sell it off for a bit of a cash boost, but these guys are so flush with cash that they don't even need it. Diego has got so many MCVs that he's lost most of them, and he still has 1. The medium tanks are holding off against the lights, and the light numbers have thinned out enough that MrYuRi is getting a bit worried. He has base crawled all the way down to this next patch, so he has an access, at least, to enough income to keep him going for the next couple of minutes. He doesn't quite have the ore refineries on that field just yet, so his income might start to slow as his main ore fields that he was on, his main and his natural, start to dry up. 1 refinery going to be getting targeted down, but another MCV. Diego just will not stop. 2 more MCVs he built, and as he loses refinery after refinery, he has MCVs to replace them. That war factory going to be taking a bit of damage. Repair tool does come out, not quite fast enough as the light tanks. Oh no, the engineer jumped inside from one of the many dead MCVs, and the tanks are starting to counterattack. Diego is actually finding an opportunity to split a couple of tanks off to various locations. He's going to be keeping the reinforcements of MrYuRi worried and back home. Worried sick about their refineries, worried sick about their harvesters, and the medium tanks can absorb so many shots in this moment. It feels like the medium tanks will never die. When you've got 2 or 3 light tanks shooting at them, you can't just surround and destroy them like we saw earlier, and suddenly the medium tanks, this passive opening from MrYuRi has come to bite him because these medium tanks are doing some almost serious damage. I feel like they were just on the edge of getting some serious damage done, and they didn't quite get there. Now the reinforcements are coming. It is a lot of medium tanks out on the field, but a lot of light tanks here to catch them. 1 or 2 medium tanks do manage to make it through the fray. The rest of them are just going to be trading out, and I feel like this is really just the distraction force to try and keep the army up in the north so that the second wave can clean up this infrastructure that is in the south, because these refineries, if they go down, that is the late game for MrYuRi, and MrYuRi's infrastructure getting jumped on, refineries and harvesters targeted down. It's pure mayhem of mass tanks, and this is what Red Alert Remastered is. Normally, the light tanks win the day, and with the destruction of those 3 fresh refineries, I'm not sure that MrYuRi is going to have much cash left in a minute or 2. He does still have a lot of light tanks out on the field, so we can't count him out just yet. He's starting to wear through the medium tank numbers. There is a second wave of medium tanks moving across the map now, and Diego, if he can kill off the war factories, then he can actually stop the light tank production. But for now, the light tanks, I think, are still coming out. No, all of the harvesters are all bunched up. He's got almost no cash. It's 5-6 grand in the bank, and Diego has done it. The medium tanks have won out over the lights. There just isn't enough numbers. And that's going to be the end. More medium tanks on the way, and Diego actually does it. Wow. He killed every single refinery except that one. He killed every refinery except that one. And MrYuRi, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus 9? 9 harvesters. No cash. 5,800 in the bank from Diego. What a bizarre twist. Normally, the light tanks just cross the map right at the beginning, and they put on so much pressure that the medium tank player never gets up to that critical mass of numbers. His counterattacks never manage to do anything significant, but here, Diego actually coming out with something where medium tanks win. Which normally, I mean, all the games that I've seen up to this point, it's like the light tank numbers are just superior. And that will do it for this game. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And this is Cyber, signing out.